Hey guys, welcome back to our new training. In this training series, we're gonna discuss Zscaler Tunnel 2.0. This is a very, very widely used traffic forwarding method, and for obvious reason, of course. So this is, in this training series, we're gonna discuss all about Tunnel 2.0, why it's needed, what's the need of, and how it works, uh, and everything. Everything about this. And let's start from the basics. And well, let's start from that. What is Tunnel 2.0? Okay, so like there are many other traffic forwarding method that you can use IPsec, GRE, explicit proxy. A similar way, you have a Zscaler Tunnel 2.0 as a traffic forwarding method. Uh, and how do you use it? You use a Zscaler client connector application, right? And that's where, this Zscaler client connector forms a tunnel 2.0, tunnel to Zscaler nearest DC. How do you check it? When you go to the internet security, you go to tunnel version, and that tells you that using tunnel 1.0, tunnel 2.0, is it on a TLS or DTLS? That's how you use it, okay? Now, the question comes in that what is Tunnel 2.0? So Tunnel 2.0 is a tunneling architecture, right, which uses TLS or DTLS protocol. Okay, this creates a persistent tunnel. Okay, and the main advantage of this Tunnel 2.0 is that you can forward all port and protocol traffic to the Zscaler. Okay, and as we know from our previous training that tunnel ZCC application uses a digest authentication. Now this tunnel 2.0 has two channels. One is called a data channel, another is called a control channel. So data channel is basically for the data transfer, right? The actual data, like you browsing something, that would go through the data channel. The control channel is basically for the management purpose, right? ZCC KPI or any other, configuration sync. That all happens through the control channel. Okay, and we'll discuss, these data channel and the control channel in detail later on. Now, ZCC tunnel 2.0 is not a pack file based tunnel, right? This is if you want to use tunnel 2.0, then you have to install drivers in system. And in case of Windows, that's Windows packet filter based driver. In case of Mac, that's turn driver, right? That's the name of these driver. These drivers are basically installed at the time of ZCC installation. So ZCC install these driver, right, as part of the ZCC installation. The tunnel 2.0 is only supported in tunnel mode. So there are a couple of modes in Zscaler forwarding profile for internet forwarding traffic. One of them is the tunnel mode, and under that mode only this tunnel 2.0 option is there, right? So you cannot use tunnel with local proxy or any other mode to use tunnel 2.0. You have to have using the tunnel mode. Okay, so this is very basic about what is tunnel 2.0. Okay, now the next thing, let me show you. The next question comes in that what is this data channel and the control channel? Okay, so the data channel, okay, let's start with the control channel first. So the control channel is basically a TCP based, a connection which uses a TCP protocol, right, on port 443. And this is again, as I mentioned, for the management traffic, and it can also be used for the data transfer as well as a data channel. Uh, and this is, and that's again, if you have configured TLS as your primary protocol, right? And you don't want to use DTLS as your data channel, then in that case you can use control, TLS, TCP, TLS based tunnel as your control and data channel. The data channel by default is the DTLS based tunnel that uses a UDP port 443, right? And of course, this is this is to transfer data to Zscaler. If if anyhow this is not possible to establish, then there is an option if you select it in the configuration itself, then it can fall back to the TLS only. And that's why I mentioned that the control, the TLS tunnel can be a data channel or a control channel, but the DTLS tunnel, which is UDP based, that only only a data channel tunnel. Okay. Important thing to note is that even though you are using a tunnel 2.0, right, control and data channel, ZCC is still uses or runs a tunnel 1.0 in the background, and for obvious reasons, right? And these some of these reasons are like domain-based bypass options or a multi-connect, right, feature. So if you, to support these features, domain-based bypass and the multi-connect and several other features, ZCC needs to connect or needs to run that tunnel 1.0. We'll be discussing this domain-based bypassed or multi-connect feature in detail in our in our later training. Now, okay, now let's just discuss what is this application and the forwarding profile, and let us see, how it looks like. So let me log into my Zscaler portal first. Okay. All right, it's taking time, man. Okay, not sure what's the problem, but let me, is it coming? No. Mhm. Let me close it completely and reopen. Okay. Mm, Okay, so I can see this now. So let me log into my Zscaler tunnel, Zscaler admin portal. And from there, I'll log into the Zscaler mobile portal. And there we can see the application and forwarding profile configuration. Not sure why it's taking time today. Let me refresh it once. Okay, so finally, I can see that I'm logged into the uh, mobile admin portal and the Zscaler admin portal. So in the mobile admin portal, we'll go to the application profile first. And from there, I already created a profile for this training. And the name of this profile is Training Tunnel 2.0 App Pro. Okay, let me open this application profile and go through few options. So this is the name of the profile. There is a policy token. This is basically a unique ID for this application profile, and there is a use of this. We'll discuss that later on. Rule order again, and then there is a enable and disable option, that toggle button. You can have this option, right? You can enable this for user or for certain groups. There are a few other options, the password options, which controls whether the end user can, uninstall, disable, exit. And if he tries to do that, it would prompt for the password, right? And that's something the admin needs to share. Then we have called a forwarding profile pack here to this application profile pack. We also enable the Zscaler certificate option. So, okay, and the debug mode, the log mode. So debug mode is the mode which is default and suggested as well, because this would capture the logs in detail. The log size is basically the GCC log size, right? By default, it's 100 MB, I believe. I reduced this to the 50 MB. There are these other options as well, the machine token and all these other options, which we would discuss, in the respective trainings. Okay, so let's come to the pack file configuration. So this is an application pack file, right? So this pack file would apply to the application, which means the GCC application. So you can call a GCC, pack file URL here. If you select the fallback to gateway domain, what that means is that if the system or the GCC cannot connect to the pack, the returned Zscaler DC IP addresses, it would use a gateway.zscaler domain.net, and it tries to connect, and it would try to form tunnel 1.0. Now these other options are not so important for this training. Now, okay, now the other important option is the hosting bypass and tunnel 2.0 configuration. So I'll discuss this in this training a bit later. So that's what basically in the application profile. So what is the application profile? Application profile is basically to for the application, which is GCC application, and basically you put some settings, some configuration to application, that how it should behave, right? That what should be the logout password, what should be the login password, what should be the pack file for it, right? Now the forwarding profile, which is this in that case, is the profile which you basically for the system, and based on this the forwarding actions is taken, right? So what we have in this, basically the name of it first, and the trusted network criteria. There are a few options that we can select. We'll not discuss, and this is again uh, based on that only. Now for the Windows system, there are two driver type, right? One is called a route based and packet filter based. Packet filter based is the default and recommended, and that's only we gonna have selected here as well. uh, and the mode you have, right? How you want to forward traffic to Zscaler ZIA, Zscaler DC. So there are a couple of modes. That the first is tunnel mode, then there is a tunnel with local proxy, enforced proxy, and none. Tunnel mode is what we're going to discuss, which is basically uses a drivers which are there, the the lightweight filter driver or route based drivers. The tunnel with local proxy uses explicit proxy or Zscaler listing proxy, and in the first proxy, basically ZCC would put a proxy to the system, and it does nothing else. None is basically disabling. So since we're discussing tunnel 2.0, under the tunnel mode, we get an option of selecting tunnel 2.0 option. Okay. Once we have that option selected, there are a couple of other advanced setting options we can see. And in this option, we can have a primary protocols, and this is for the data channel, of course, right? So you can select it TLS or DTLS, right? That's up to you. Uh, by default, the TLS is the preferred one because you also have option to forward back to TLS, right? If you select TLS, then it's TLS, right? It won't write the TLS. Okay. Now there are options for the timeout connections. If there is no response for TLS, connections, then this is the timer. It would time out. MTU value for the Zscaler adapter. That's basically the 1400 by default. Path MTU to find the optimal DTLS MTU that will have a separate training. Now, if and we are under the DTLS as a primary protocol, we also have option to choose and select the TLS fallback mechanism. If it's selected and due to any reason DTLS tunnel is not possible, it would fall back to the TLS tunnel. And if TLS is not possible, then it would try to fall back to a tunnel 1.0, and you can select the behavior that what you want to use. You want to use, you want to block all the traffic, use tunnel 1.0 and bypass non-web traffic, or block the non-web traffic. Now, the option which is redirect web traffic to the listening proxy and tunnel 2.0, this is kind of a new feature introduced, in the 3.8 ZCC version and higher, and this would need a separate training, okay? And we'll discuss this in later trainings as well. So block unreachable domain, block IPv6, that's obvious, you can understand. Now, the other option from this configuration, we get to push a pack file to the system. Now we can call a pack file, right? And then we can use a forwarding profile pack here, or if we don't use it, then it's okay. It's not mandatory to use pack file in the tunnel 2.0, right? Uh, okay, so that's the VPN trusted net, right? On trusted networks, and I'm using same configuration for VPN trusted and the off trusted network. Since we are using, we're discussing ZIA only, ZPA is disabled. Okay, so this is about the forwarding and the application profile. Okay, that's what we have discussed so far. Now let us understand, because we mentioned there are two type of pack file you can use, right? One is called forwarding pack, another one is called the application pack, right? And that's we seen these options in the profile as well. Now tunnel 1.0 and tunnel 2.0 pack file has a different different options, or it works differently, I would say. uh, in tunnel 2.0 pack file, the important statements are these two. Okay. Now, what these two statement does is basically, so let's say, if you remember, I mentioned that to use or to support multi-connect or domain-based bypass, right? For that purpose only, this is the statement you would use, right? So zton, the return proxy zapp underscore turn2 underscore bypass, that's the statement which would make the tunnel or make the traffic to tunnel 1.0. Okay, and then this and that traffic will be then sent to Zscaler listening proxy, which is 127.0.0.1 colon 9000 port, right? Another option in the pack file, or the forwarding pack file option, is direct, and that direct means sent traffic to the application, the ZCC application. Okay, that's the option in the forwarding profile pack. Now we have an application profile pack as well, and that application profile pack, similar to the forwarding profile pack, right? Uh, if you have called this statement, which is basically for to support, let's say, a multi-connect feature or domain-based bypass feature, then you have to call the same statement, or a respective right statement in the application profile for this traffic as well. So for example, we have called example domain.com to send it to tunnel 1.0. We needs to create a similar entry, and we need to decide what we want to do for that traffic. Do we want to send it to direct based on the direct statement? Do we want to send it to a specific DC, kind of a multi-connect feature? So we would use the return statement accordingly, right? In this case, we're sending it direct, and the default statement is, of course, the gateway statement. Okay. So that's the the example of the Tunnel 2.0 application and the forwarding profile pack. Okay. Now the next, let's see what we have. Okay, now the next what we have is the tunnel 2.0 traffic flow. So we so far what we understand that how, I mean, what is tunnel 2.0, what is the application profile and the forwarding profile. We have also seen the application and the forwarding profile pack file as well. Now, since we have understanding about it, it'll be a good time to check, check for the flow. So for the tunnel 2.0 traffic flow, I created a document, and I think this will, and this will make you understand this feature, very well. So what happens that first from the browser, traffic comes to the Zscaler listening proxy, right? I mean, Zscaler, I mean, system proxy. Okay. From there, if it's just a tunnel 2.0, right? We're not using tunnel 1.0. There is no multi-connect. There is no, yeah, a domain-based bypass. Then it would directly send to, traffic to the LWF or turn driver. From there, it would check the include or exclude option, the bypasses, what we have, the tunnel 2.0 bypasses, right? If it's included, if it's not bypassed, then it would it would send that traffic through data channel to the Zscaler DC, and from there to the internet, right? If it's excluded, then it would be excluded from the LWF or turn driver itself, and then it would send it to the internet. In case you are using the application and the forwarding profile, of course, and you have statement there for the domain based bypass, so that traffic will be routed to the listening proxy, Zscaler listening proxy, and then it would follow the application profile pack. Based on the application profile pack, if you have a direct option, it would bypass and it would send direct to the internet. And if you have a return proxy statement, it would use HTTP connect tunnel, and it would forward it to the Zscaler SME. And from the Zscaler SME, then it will be forwarded to the nearest DC. Okay. Let me remove it. Okay, so I hope this diagram helped you to understand the flow, that how it works. Okay, now let's see what we have in next in our agenda. Okay, let me scroll it down. All right, yeah. So the next what we have is the tunnel 2.0 bypasses. Now the VPN host name bypass, and that's what we have seen in the app profile as well. So this bypass is basically there to overcome any interoperability, right? So this is a bypass which has a very highest priority, than exclude and include routes. So what it does, it bypasses that traffic from the ZCC. Okay, and if you have placed a bypass here in the VPN hostname and gateway bypass, then this would also bypass traffic from the ZPA. And as the name suggests, and as I mentioned, that interoperability, at time you're using a different VPN solution with along with a Zscaler proxy. In that case, right, that's where the mostly cases you would prefer and use this option. Now the second option is include and exclude route. What this does basically, it's send traffic to, and we know that in tunnel 2.0 we only have an IP layer bypasses only, right? We cannot have a domain or a URL or host name bypasses. For that, we rely on tunnel 1.0. So what this does, it send traffic to Zen or a bypass based on the option, the option we have chosen, include or exclude for the traffic. And you can use IP, you can use subnet as well, right? This has the highest priority, right? I mean, it has higher priority than include exclude for the ZP IP based, and lower priority than this VPN host name. Now, the other options what we have is called the domain-based bypass. And as I mentioned, the domain-based bypass, to support this or to do a domain-based bypass when we're using a tunnel 2.0, we need to use a tunnel 1.0 listener proxy. So what it does, that traffic goes to the system proxy, and for and then from there to the Zscaler listening proxy, and then it comes to the app profile pack. It parts that app profile pack option statement, and then it takes a decision. So if you can, if you check, this is the same, the pack file statement. Let's say I want to bypass this example domain.com from tunnel 2.0. Like this is a, domain based bypass or URL based bypass, right? So what I did, I use the return proxy statement as zapp underscore tunnel 2.0 underscore bypass. The proxy statement DNS domain is, you can use any statement. It's not especially, I mean, it's not like you only have to use DNS. You can use cell expression match or any other statement you would like, and the return is default. When this traffic comes to the Zscaler app and the application pack file is parsed, it checks and it takes decision based on this statement for that traffic. If this statement is not there, it would follow the direct statement, and it would, it would, I mean, it won't be bypassed, right? So, right, yeah, that's what it says, that if application profile, yeah. And the one other thing is that this is a tunnel 2.0 bypass only. This is how tunnel 2.0 bypasses work. It won't work in case of tunnel 1.0. There is a different way, and tunnel 1.0 bypasses won't work in a tunnel 2.0, right? Okay, so that's all for today's training, guys. I'll have a couple of more training for a specific topic. Feel free, to let me know if you are interested in, any specific yeah, topic or a specific thing you want me to discuss in more detail. I'll for sure create a detailed video on that specific topic. Thank you very much, and see you in our next training.